momentum doesn't come from confidence. It comes from actually doing it, actually doing the scary thing and putting your ideas out there for the first time. And you're a Boveda, and I'm the founder of Conello. And really to start talking about what we're building, I feel like I need to talk about the problem we're trying to solve first.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll go and share a little bit about that, which is Conello sets out to solve the global disengagement and burnout epidemic, which in 2025, all new highs of those levels around the world. It's estimated that around 2/3 of professionals last year were experiencing some level of burnout, and slightly higher, maybe around 69% of employees were actively or mostly disengaged. And it's hurting companies at all levels of the org chart. So to start, our executives, they're worried about their bottom line, and they're hoping that their company can attract and retain good people and top talent. But disengagement is costing companies in the U.S. around $500 billion annually. And those disengaged employees, they're 3 times more likely to be looking for other work. And when they do leave, it can cost somewhere between 1/2 to 2 times that person's salary just to backfill that role. So it's an expensive issue.
Right.
And then they look to their HR leaders to solve this, to track this. But our HR leaders are overwhelmed. They're in what I've heard be called the et cetera department, because they're in charge of payroll, compliance, hiring, sometimes IT. And now they're also expected to be the culture champions of our companies. And that's sometimes the more impactful work, something that a lot of HR people are excited to do, but it can feel like the priorities aren't always aligned with those desired outcomes. And then the employees themselves, disengagement doesn't come from a place of dramatics or maliciousness. They just are also lacking the tools that they need to thrive at work. And so much of the science that looks at team formation and success points to community and trust being the foundation that people need to do their best work, to feel truly motivated and to come to work every day and do their best work. So without community, without connection, people are feeling overworked and underappreciated, and they need tools outside of just peer support. They also need empathetic leadership, hands-on management, and continuous learning and growth opportunities. So this is truly a multi-dimensional issue. And then there are just so many disparate and disconnected tools that HR leaders are depending upon. There's one for surveys, there's one for your performance reviews, one for event planning and team building. And that's where Conello comes in. We're trying to solve all that by being the central hub, the all-in-one employee experience platform that helps bring teams together through recognition and play and incentives. So we achieve this by offering fun virtual team building games and social icebreakers that help people build that foundation of trust and camaraderie. And then we're also offering kudos to reward good behavior, as well as reinforcing the kind of values your company has. And it's all powered by points and gamification that will help people reward themselves for engaging in activities and events by redeeming points for perks and prizes that lend themselves to encouraging rest and recuperation. Like your next travel go bag is maybe something that you buy from Conello using points. So that's Conello. Yeah.
What you touched a little bit on the inspiration, but was there a specific, like, where you're like, this is the last straw, I need to fix this problem? Is there a moment in time that was really that inspiration for you to make this leap into entrepreneurship?
Most definitely. I will say that my background, I'm a software engineer, and I've been working remotely since before the pandemic even. And that rewarded me a lot of flexibility and was really great for my productivity. But I would find that there were some days when I would log off and realize that I hadn't had a meaningful conversation with anyone that whole day. It can be a lonely experience, and I would often go out of my way to remediate that. I would plan virtual happy hours and game nights, and those felt like they would reset a clock. I felt like I was reminded in those moments, wow, these are the amazing people that I get to work with, that I love to collaborate with, that I love to share a laugh with. And it really helped remind me the purpose behind what we're doing, because at the end of the day, it's the people that we're surrounded with that motivate us to show up and do our best work. So I worked really hard to try to create those kinds of environments in employment opportunities of the past. And sometimes it wasn't met with the same level of priority or urgency that I would place to it. Engineers, they often said, we're often told, keep them in the basement. But we're social creatures too, and we need to come together and build that layer of psychological and safety in order to thrive at work. And that's how I first got the idea for what was once called The Weave, this social fabric that I was hoping to create for companies. And it was just going to be a library of virtual games. But I'm also studying for my MBA at Portland State, and through that have taken classes on organizational management and learned so much about the psychology behind team formation. And like I said, this is a multidimensional issue, so it's really just grown in scope of being this holistic platform for employees to really feel like they have the tools they need to show up to work every day and feel that their work is adding to their lives rather than taking from it.
Amazing. Shifting gears a little bit, and I'm really excited to ask you this question just based on your experience. I always find founders are often the best mentors for other founders, that kind of peer mentorship is extremely valuable. What's one piece of advice you would give to either somebody who's currently pursuing their own startup or maybe somebody who's considering making the leap into entrepreneurship?
I love that. Yeah, we got our start a couple years ago when we did the PSU pitch competition, their Everyday Entrepreneur pitch competition, took home the first prize. And so a year later, I got to do the keynote just recently to speak to the next round of founders, the next group of students, and share with them some of my advice and learning. So it's very timely to have this asked me because, I spent a lot of time thinking about
Sure.
it. Yeah. But to people just starting to consider to make that leap, I would tell them that there is no such thing as perfect timing. I think part of what encouraged me to pursue my MBA is because I had this entrepreneurial curiosity, but I didn't know what to do with it. I just felt like I'm not really the kind of person to build something. I've needed that academic foundation to build my confidence. But momentum doesn't come from confidence. It comes from actually doing it, actually doing the scary thing and putting your ideas out there for the first time. And so to anyone that's feeling like they aren't the type of person to go and build something, but they have that spark, that curiosity, they need to just listen to it, and they need to make that leap and go put their ideas out there. I would highly encourage it because doing that with the EE pitch competition set me on a whole new life trajectory with this business that I'm building. It's been so rewarding and exciting and scary all at the same time. So I can only encourage others to join us, be one of us. May I also offer a different piece of advice for those that have gotten started? Yeah, okay. For the founders that are already building their product, they're already setting off and building something every day, I would encourage them to zoom out and be intentional about not just the kind of product they're building, the problem they're solving, but the kind of company that they're trying to build. because I think so often we can be pulled in so many different directions. I myself am focused on outreach and customer discovery and developing the product itself, that we can miss the forest for the trees a little bit. You have to start thinking not just about being an overnight success, not all about revenue, because you should be preparing yourself for the best case scenario where you do grow. You do bring people onto your team. And what does that look like? How do you form a sustainable company? How do you realize the kind of impact that you want to have? How do you and your teammates show up to work every day? And if you're too focused on hustling and grinding, you might look up and realize that you've developed a different kind of culture that you didn't want for yourself, that maybe inspired you to go do it different, do it your own way. So if you try to be intentional about the kind of company you're building, the values you want, the culture you want to have, that starts early. So I'd encourage people to think about that from day zero, not just when they're starting to feel the growing pains.
Love that. I love that. Yeah, I've often tried to remind founders that if you're growing as a company, that each new person you add, if you aren't intentional about your culture, those people either continue to accommodate the existing culture or take it in a different direction. And you need to be intentional about that as you're building for the future organization. Along those same lines, this could be as a founder, as a leader of your company. It could simply be as a human. Like this is something you find yourself coming back to time and time again. But do you have like a resource or a touchstone that helps keep you grounded as a human and a founder? It could be a book. It could be, I have to go to the coast every couple months, or I go crazy, like whatever it is. Do you have something like that you would like to share with other founders?
I love that. At the risk of sounding too cheesy, it really is the people that I've been lucky enough to surround myself with recently, and through this venture. I feel like a lot of the warnings I've received is that being a founder can be a lonely experience, but I've been very fortunate to work with a great team of partners and advisors, and even just fellow well-being workplace leaders, HR leaders that I've met, who all have so much knowledge and so many ideas to share that it feels like such a creative exercise to get to be building this in our local Portland ecosystem. It's been such an honor. But with that said, because you mentioned the coast and keeping yourself sane, I think that for me specifically is games. I feel like that's been a big part of the inspiration behind Conello, is how games could reset a clock for me. And so that's board games, that's video games, that's everything in between. My teammates and I, we all like to do the daily Wordle and see who got it quickest. We just do little daily brain teasers, or our monthly all-hand meetings end in like a game night using Jackbox. So we're trying to practice what we preach a little bit about how the magic of play can bring people closer together.
Love it. Love it. Well, I really appreciate you carving out the time and sharing all of these insights to help reciprocate. What can we who are listening be doing to be most helpful for you and your journey right now?
Yeah, right now we're about to run into our next round of pilots. This gives companies 60 days of free access, and in exchange, we're doing a benchmark survey and a re-measurement at the end of the pilot, just to really measure the health of an organization and understand where their culture is today and if Conello's moving the needle. So any HR leaders listening, or any managers that care about the employee experience and care about team culture, that want to be design partners with us and help shape the future of our product, now's the time to join the conversation and get access to Conello and help us build a new future for work that's a little bit more human and connected.
Do you have a startup story to tell? I would love to hear from you.